Hello, sweet souls. It's DTO, wishing you a beautiful moment. And today I am underneath our beautiful, gorgeous Yogashala at Embody, Costa Rica. Some of you have been here, so you know exactly where I am. And this is a beautiful wellness and retreat center for people to come, to feel connected, for people to really tap into that part within them that gets to be revealed and remembered. And once upon a time, Hemele and I had moved to Costa Rica in 2020, and we came without the intention of building a retreat center. And of course, divine timing. This was our phase one in 2021. And then, as you can see here, we have also built out the deck. So we offer workshops, classes, retreats, and we've done a variety of different offerings. And it's been such a beautiful journey, those of you that have been following what we've been creating. And we have created an opportunity for people to come to really tap into that jungle wisdom. And that will be our theme today on the podcast, to talk about parts of us within of how we get to remember who we are. And the jungle of Costa Rica was first introduced to my soul in 1997 when I was a college student at the University of Iowa. And we all know it gets cold in certain parts of North America. And so it was a beautiful experience for me to go elsewhere in the world and to explore the language, the culture, the people, and the rainforest and the land and the waterfalls and all that there is on this incredible planet. And Hemele and I actually landed in a place which is known to have the best climate in the world. It's called Atenas. It's only 25 minutes from the airport, which is very convenient if you're going to come and visit. Some people are actually visiting today because they went to Envision Festival, and then we just had a retreat here. And coming up in March, we have an extraordinary offering here on the land, which will be Jungle Wisdom. And you can see the dates, March 24th to the 29th. And without further ado, we're going to bring on the co-facilitators of Jungle Wisdom. Hi, Brandee. Hi, Judith.
Hi, DTO.
Hi, DTO.
Nice to see you. And once upon a time in the jungle, we had such an amazing time. And you were riding in the back of the Embody shuttle, the rickshaw. And this is the photo that I love so much. And this is your Sacred Soul Curriculum, Costa Rica, March 24th to 29th. Many people out there that are feeling the crunchy energy in the universe right now. I know a lot of you are like, hey, how do I find connection, community? And here is your sacred invitation to embody the wisdom of your soul. And so mark your calendars, check it out. If you're already like a big yes, I already want to share. Here's the website you can go to, boom, 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 and go to the sequel, Jungle Wisdom, the second time that Brandee and Judith get to have you in their loving space. It's so much transformation. And how did all of this begin? So I love to start off these podcasts with origin stories. So how did the journey begin? Let's start off with Judith.
Okay, well, my journey began 84 years ago. I'm an octogenarian. Let me just say that. Shall I just introduce myself a little bit?
Yes, please.
I'm an octogenarian. I'm a transformational coach and a consciousness midwife. I have 50 years experience supporting people who know, primarily but not exclusively women, who know that they're here to deepen, to discover their purpose. I support people to move through their limiting beliefs, their blocks and obstacles, so that they can consciously embody the wisdom of their soul in their everyday life. So my origin story began in the Midwest. I was born in Michigan during World War II, the youngest of three, much, much younger than my two older brothers, into a family where I always had the strange feeling that I didn't fit in, that I didn't belong. I remember as a little kid asking myself, who are these people? And what am I doing in this family? Because I always kind of felt like I was on a completely different trajectory. I came in, I think, with a calling. I didn't choose it, it chose me. So I want to say that I believe that my calling was to be a teacher. And the first demonstration of that was with no one asking me to, no one telling me to. At around age 7, I used to gather the kids of the neighborhood and clean out my parents' garage, borrow chairs, line them up in a row, and invite the kids to come over. And I would get up in front of them and I would say, "Who'd like to share?" And which is basically the same thing I've been doing for 50 years in front of transformational training seminars, standing in front and saying, "Who'd like to share?" And at 7 years old, kids used to share about scouting and summer vacations and dancing lessons and kid things. And so I believe that, my origin story is that I came in with a calling to be a teacher. So that is basically what I've done for my entire life. I started out teaching elementary school, which was kind of the curriculum that, in the I entered college in 1960. So in those years, there weren't a lot of paths open for women, mainly teaching, maybe nursing, and secretarial work. So of those three things that seemed like my options, I chose teaching because that was my natural expression. And so for the rest of my life, I have been teaching one thing or another. My path is open and evolved, and the subject material that has become part of my teaching brings me up until today, which is mainly about soul process, soul calling, soul curriculum.
Yes to that. And I'm so grateful that I got to be in your zone of genius of inspiring my own transformation, of activating and really remembering my purpose in life. And so appreciate all the work that you got to share with me in my journey. And I know there's thousands of students that you've impacted, so I can say that with personal experiences of my journey. Thank you.
Thank you, DTO.
My pleasure. And Brandee, how about you?
Thank you so much for inviting us to share DTO and being all here together. My journey as well, one of a teacher. So I was born in Canada, and one of my big things in life is that I was really, really sick with autoimmune disease from a young age and spent 2 years in a hospital from the age of 14 to 16. And when I came out of the hospital at the age of 16, the doctor said, "You cannot tolerate stress in your body." And I was like, "Oh, how do you live in the world without stress?" And lucky for me, I was introduced to meditation at the age of 16, and that became the door for me of healing my body. So I'm a yoga therapist, I'm an astrologer, I'm a life coach, and I'm a fierce stand for the feminine. And I think when Judith and I met, there was this shared soul calling of taking a stand for the feminine. So my journey has been one of, I believe, contractions and expansions. And today we are actually talking on the Virgo eclipse, and my chart is all highlighted in Virgo energy. So Virgo is about the digestion, about perfectionism, about control, about details. And I am here to really learn the lesson and to teach the lesson of the soul's path. Surrender and trust. Surrender and trust. Listening to the voice of spirit, leaning in, and teaching women the holiness of their body, the holiness and the gift of having a female body, what a gift it is to be born as a human being, and teaching how to take care of it, because I got to learn really the hard way, and I still get to learn every day how to take care of myself, because I do. Once you have autoimmune, you live with it. And once you have addiction, you live with it. So that's a mind body thing. And I'm here as a soul guide for the mind body connection. And I never take it for granted that I get to do this work in this lifetime. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you. Thank you. The connection, right? That's what we're all here to recognize. And unless you have your health or don't have your health, that's the dance, right? Like when you're fully embodied and you feel alive, and then when you don't, you're like, oh my gosh, you know, it doesn't matter how many zeros are in your bank account if you don't have your health. I'm sure that was a huge lesson for you, like gratitude, as you said, to be in your body.
Yes.
So wow, beautiful. Okay, well, we really kind of went into this a little bit, but I'll jump into question 2, which is the spiritual path. So once you feel that alignment, you have that connectedness to what it is that you're choosing to do, or what the universe is sharing with you and what you're designed to do. How do you take that step forward? How do you then choose to go there? Even though you have challenges, you have breakdowns, you're going to have people that are saying, why are you doing that? Why don't you just become a doctor, a lawyer, or take this path? Because getting into astrology or getting into transformational work, those are definitely paths that are less, you know, let's say approved by societies, right? For example, Himalaya, of course, her family being from India, it's like, wait, you're going to be a spiritual transformational yoga coach leader? Like, what's that all about? Teaching Bollywood dance? You know, you got to be you got to take these career paths. So societies, no matter what culture you're part of, right? We're on this planet with 8 billion of us. There's set belief systems, right? And so when you choose the spiritual path, I'm curious on what that's been for you, each of you, and then what has really been for you the calling as far as your lane, let's call it, within that. So for example, people that know me, when I declared I'm going to be a musician, that's massive. That's a huge conversation. Musician for movies, musician for playing live at, playing at restaurants, playing at weddings. And I was very specific. I'm going to play music for yoga. I'm going to play music for meditation. So in your spiritual path, like what was it for you that was clear, like, oh, this is my place? And then I think it'd be a really great opportunity too, to just share like what it is that you do as far as astrological readings, for example, Brandee. So we'll start with you.
So I'm coming back to a memory, and it leads to my spiritual journey of healing my body. So I had, unfortunately, really traumatic surgery and with my Crohn's disease. And I went, like I said, I started to learn meditation when I was 16. I went to an ashram to study meditation. It saved my life. It was like, oh, I don't have to believe every thought in my head. Up until then, I thought that every thought was real. So it really slowed me down, and it got me into that spiritual journey of meditation. And I was so disciplined. And I was looking for a spiritual community. And this was early in the 80s, and yoga wasn't a big thing. Meditation wasn't a big thing. My parents thought I joined a cult, that I went to India to an ashram. They thought I definitely was joining a cult. Something's wrong with this child. And what I learned, I went to study to be a yoga therapist. And the teacher, I remember at one point doing a backward bridge pose, and I was like, I can't. I'm going to break in half. My body will break in half. Like I had so much stored trauma in my body from what I went through. And I just remember that break free moment of doing this back bend, having somebody sit next to me and say, you're not going to break. You're not going to break. You are safe. Your body is safe. And just doing that full back bend and knowing that my body was okay and overcoming trauma. And so I've held that space for many, many women to be safe in their bodies, whether they lived through autoimmune, whether they lived, we all have traumas. And so the safety and the brilliance of the body is definitely one of my spiritual tools. And the remembrance every day that I am not a head, but I am a walking heart. So that's a little bit about what I teach.
Thank you. Judith?
Well, my path, my entry into my spiritual path also began with yoga. I had been a teacher, an elementary school teacher. I was actually a special ed teacher. And when I got married and had children, I was a full-time mom for a period of time. And, there came a point where I began to look inside and think, there's got to be more. This was the early 1970s now. And I started to feel a kind of inner itch to discover some deeper level of who I was, aside from the identity of wife and school teacher and mother. Those were very traditional roles. Something in me, as a double Aquarian with an Aries moon and 8 on the Enneagram, something in me was really looking for something much more expansive and deeper. And so I don't remember exactly how it is that yoga actually even came into my awareness, but I started taking yoga classes and I started studying with a group of yoga teachers. They invited me to be in their class and work out with them. And given that teaching is really my path and really my call, I ended up teaching yoga. So I taught yoga for a while, and during that time, um, there were also some challenges in my marriage because the restless part of me wasn't just restless in one area of my life. I began to become restless in my marriage as well. And so I was invited to a transformational program, which was kind of almost not heard of back in the early 70s. It was like a very new, kind of fringy kind of thing, but that appealed to me. So I went to an introductory evening in a hotel, and all the students who had just completed a course were there, celebrating their completion. And I went as a guest and I stood in the doorway looking inside and just observing the people and kind of tuning into the vibe. And a little tiny voice in me that was so soft, almost imperceptible, but I heard it. It said, "You're home." And I didn't really know what that meant, except it has been my home. I've been in that home for the past 50 years. So I took the trainings, I, participated in all the levels. And as I do, I was asked to go to work for the company. I was selected to learn to be a trainer. I grew up as a trainer. I was in my early 30s when I started that work. And that work has taken me all around the world. It's been an amazing, amazing journey for me to work with people in different countries, different cultures, different languages, literally all over the world. And so that work, I have come full circle from that work now. And along with that, I've coached people, I've been a coach. And then Brandee and I met about 3 years ago, and we had this immediate soul connection, I believe. These two teachers, I mean, we're of two different generations. She's my daughter's age, and yet, we're like sisters, we're like peers. She invited me to be on a Wise Woman Summit that she was producing. And through that, we came together and began to explore and felt a call to do something together. And that resulted in the first retreat that we gave like 3 years ago. And then the second retreat, well, 2 years ago, and then the second retreat that we did a year ago. And now the upcoming retreat that we're about to do later this month in just a couple of weeks. So it's a spiritual path that has been slowly unfolding and deepening, and it has brought me to the place where I am today, which is now a singular focus on soul curriculum and soul agenda. Actually, my PhD is in soul psychology. So, it all flows together.
Soul psychology. That sounds delicious and nutritious. I have never heard those two words together.
The formal title is archetypal psychology,
Hmm.
but psychology of the soul. So that has been the focus of my work for about 35 years.
Ooh, I love that. Sign me up. Count me in.
All right, you're on.
I use the term a soulpreneur as well for people that really are wanting, we're all soulpreneurs, right? Like,
I
it's not
like
always
it.
about the capitalism. It's like the consciousness of awakening people. I
Oh,
love
absolutely. Yeah.
that. Amazing. And speaking about awakening people, we definitely have an incredible video I want to show you before we talk about your retreat more of a testimonial. So here, let's roll the clip.
So being at Jungle Wisdom with Brandee and Judith has been soul refreshing. I feel like I've come home to myself. Before I got here, I felt very disjointed and disconnected from my soul. And this has been like water refreshing. I feel like I've lost 20 years of negative energy and I feel 20 years and 20 pounds lighter. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I love those results. And so that's what we're going to talk about. The third question is, what are some of the results, in addition to what we got to hear, that you have had from either the collaborations you've done collectively or individual retreats, and what kind of breakthroughs are people having? You gave a quick little story about that, but feel free, Brandee, to share about some of the results.
So the first result, one is when the moment they say yes, they are choosing themselves. They are choosing that they are worthy of this experience and they're open to receive the experience. And then from what we've heard, the feedback is this was the moment of their awakening, whether the awakening is a physical body awakening, that they are worthy in their body, that they are tender to their body, that they land in their body and their soul has a home to come back to. Also choosing freedom after the retreat, like breaking free from patterns that were very unhealthy, whether that was relationships, work environments, life environments. A lot of the women that also come to us are mothers. So facilitating the space for a mother as well to receive. And what I love so much about and why we're choosing Embody Costa Rica, because from both Judith and I's experience, we've never been held so deeply by the land of of the earth, of Gaia. And so when we all were in that space last year, the energetics of the water, of the earth, of the food, of each other, the sisterhood that was created, the women that came and left were not the same women. They came back to the calling of their soul from what they forgot, a remembering of themselves and owning their own voice again, having the power to say, this is what they choose for themselves moving forward. No longer whatever was not serving. This was a moment of coming back into their power, empowerment. So those are some of the results.
All right, Judith.
Oh, I think Brandee laid it out pretty well. I just keep going back to that moment that I had of my own personal awakening, where I'm standing in the doorway witnessing a group of people who had just had their own transformational experience. And my own soul, I believe, said to me, "You're home." I think this is really something that Melissa in that testimonial said. She said, "I came home to myself." And I think, we spend our whole lives in search of who we are, where do we belong, how do we fit in, what is our life about, where am I going, and searching for home out there somewhere. And to come to the recognition that home is here, home is within me. There is something that happens to the nervous system. The nervous system, it's like the heart and the nervous system, the whole system of the being comes together. There's wholeness, there's coherence. And I think that wholeness and coherence is an alignment, is another result that I see women achieving from our work.
Absolutely. I got to witness that. as the co-visionary of Embody. And I love, as you said, the land and nature in Costa Rica just has this richness to it that just allows for us to be connected. And a lot of times when we're in that computerized cubicle only technology lifestyle, our minds can just kind of loop and go mad. And for me, me already, witness me in my element. I'm a jungle boy. I'm like feet on the earth, going to waterfalls and just having these adventures and doing something that's different. Like having a pattern or interruption is really important for our mental health. And that's what I love about the way that both of you design your retreats, is having the excursions and having the delicious, nutritious food that you mentioned from our chef, and just be taken care of in a way that sometimes we don't have that self-care all the time, right? Because that's a classic, the joke of humanity, right? We remember, we forget. We remember, we forget. We know what we know when we're knowing it, but then we're like, oh, I forgot to drink enough water. Or I forgot to just have that fresh fruit in the morning. Of course, that's what we offer at our retreat center. And so speaking about that, Brandee?
Something about being the physical space together, right? Like you said, out of the cubicle. And for many years, when I was in my teacher training, it was 3 years, I was pregnant twice. And my teacher, and so sometimes I couldn't do it. So my teacher said, just watch, just witness, just watch. And we learn from witnessing somebody who is embodied. So we don't necessarily, need to be doing everything, but it's that energetics of being in a space together where there's a transmission that you cannot receive through virtual screens.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I've loved about the experiences for me. Even it goes back to when I was in college and I came to Costa Rica, and I was like, wow, there's just something about the energy. And when you go to Hawaii, they call it aloha. In Costa Rica, if people don't know, it's called pura vida, which is pure life. And how beautiful that we really get to feel that, La Madre Tierra, Pachamama, all the names of Mother Earth, and to really have that transmission. And a lot of times what I've learned is, people that are in the spiritual path, we always talk about the downloads. I get the uploads. I get it right from the magma, right from the core of the earth, right from the mycelium, right from like the dirt between my toes. And it's like, yes, the earth is alive. And similar when you've done your labyrinth walk on our land, it's really activating to see that. Let's roll another clip of some participants of Jungle Wisdom.
Okay. Coming to this retreat with Judith and Brandee with expectations and none at the same time was the epitome of a blessing in disguise. Walking in and having each day planned meticulously with not only self-care, but also group activities and thoughtful, authentic, vulnerable, eye-opening, mind-blowing activities, which created a space for each and every one of us to see from what was within and be able to focus that out into the world, was truly, truly a testament of the shifts and changes that occurred during this week. Okay.
My takeaways from my experience with Judith and Brandee are a new lease on life. They are two of the most inspirational women I have met to date, and they have empowered me to bring in love and just a new lease on life, to really live and take in each breath, enjoy each day, and be true to myself and be open to all that is around me. I encourage everyone to do a retreat with Judith and Brandee if they are able. It will change your life.
Wow. So powerful. Lovely, lovely. And so we talk about international retreats, right? Like moving into the courageous act of even leaving your front door, right? Especially if you're in a cold climate, you're like, oh, I'm all cozy in the cold, but okay, how do I get to this transformational experience? How do I go somewhere as you get acknowledged by these incredible blessimonials that their frequency and their energy, their vibration shifted? And that's really important for that to take place. And so I do want to acknowledge both of you for bringing Jungle Wisdom to your communities. And of course, there's still time for people. It's March 3rd today for people to sign up. There's spots available. And just to make sure you see the link here for anyone, go to judithrich.com/jungle-wisdom- the sequel. There you go. It's amazing. And I have one other testimony I want to share with everyone as well.
Okay, so what was it like to be at the Jungle Wisdom Retreat with Brandee and Judith?
The Jungle Wisdom Retreat with Brandee and Judith was like nothing I've ever experienced. Well, actually, it was, because I have done one other wisdom walk with them, and every single time something really powerful happens. And just like that, this time was amazing. And in just asking the questions and the connection and the community and being held and meeting strangers that are not strangers, they're sisters, we all became family. I know it's going to stretch into beyond this moment for the rest of my life. It's something so sacred and so worthwhile. I'm so glad I did it.
Yes. So wonderful. Okay, well, we're at the 5th part of our 5Q interview, which is closing words, invitations, and I'll let Judith go first.
Well, we would just love for any woman who feels a little nudge, a little spark. I suggest that might be your soul nudging you. And I like to say that the soul knows the way, so trust it. And if your heart is whispering yes, this is an opportunity for you to claim that space for yourself. You'll be welcomed, you'll be taken care of. This is going to be a deep and yet gentle dive into your sacred soul curriculum. What is the agenda that your soul chose this lifetime and chose your body to come here to complete? Because the soul, I talked about my doctoral work in soul psychology, and one of the most honored and renowned teachers is the late Dr. James Hillman, who taught that the soul has an agenda and it will have its way with us. One way or another, the soul will engineer our lives to bring about, to create the conditions for us to complete the learning that it came to learn. And so we can do that consciously. That's the kind of work that we're leading women to take on, is the conscious relationship with their soul, so that they're dancing with the soul. They're working in alignment with the soul's agenda rather than the ego's agenda. So, kind of the ego's agenda is very often the opposite of the soul's agenda. And the soul, when we talk about soul, it's not some strange, esoteric, mystical, strange thing out there. Soul is really an aspect of consciousness that is embodied in us. And so it behooves us to get into a relationship with it and learn to listen, learn to honor, learn to flow and move. And that is what becomes available when one is working in alignment with their soul's curriculum. So we'd love for you to join the circle, join the sisterhood, give yourself permission to take a deep dive and be held in a beautiful, nurturing, gentle space while you do the work.
So beautiful, Judith. And I just want to acknowledge you and your work. It's such an honor and blessing to co-facilitate with you. My astrology name, I go by Luna B. Luna B because Luna is the moon. Luna is great mother energy, grandmother energy, wise woman energy. And I woke up early at 4 o'clock in the morning to be with the eclipse. And the words that came to me while I was under her beautiful red light this morning were courage. And if you are a woman and listening and you are called and you feel inspired and your soul is calling you forward, I invite you to be courageous and reach out to us and create this. This is an opportunity for your own soul's growth and to be mothered, to be nurtured, to be loved, to be honored for who you be. And you are welcome in the circle of jungle wisdom too.
Thank you, ladies, for your offering, for your talent, for your gifts, for your hearts, and for sharing from the bottom of your beings and aligning with the eclipse. And the stars are fully aligned. So anyone out there that's looking for a sign, here it is. Jungle Wisdom is March 24th to the 29th. Here is the website to sign up, register. And of course, if you're watching this on Facebook, YouTube, or ever, feel free to direct message Brandee or Judith. And thank you so much, ladies. I honor you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, DTO.
Thank you, DTO.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Pura vida.